Hi, this is an extremely chaotic video of me just showing you the way I've organized my yarn stash in this new place, and also exposing myself for all the old whips that I still have stashed somewhere in my storage solutions. Enjoy! Hi! Oh no, the mirror is exposing the mess that I have in my room. Hi! So, we're on my floor now, and I've got the bed right here. And we got this new place quite recently, and we had to buy all the furniture for it. And the thing that I knew I wanted first was this bed from IKEA that has an ottoman storage situation, because I knew that I would need it to store my yarn. So let's open this bad boy up. Sorry for the mess that's right here. I can do this one-handed. Can I? Yes! Ta-da! So this is all the stuff that I have under the bed. It's kind of used as a way of, I guess, hiding some of the stuff that I don't want out into my room, like all this stuff here. But I do have these two boxes to store most of my yarn, but then I've got some bits of yarn that are stored elsewhere in the house as well. Let's go through this first box here. I think this is where I keep most of my spare yarns. So what I mean by that is, like, I've got balls of yarn that have been left over from old projects. So sometimes, like, I just buy an excess amount. And so, for example, like here, this is all my leftovers from the Mabel wrap. And I've got small balls of sock yarn that because I never quite used the full 100 gram of sock yarn that always comes with one of those balls. So I've got a lot of those here. Yeah, this is, for example, a leftover from my red jumper, the Stockholm sweater. And I've got some coloring stuff as well. Oh, this is a very suspicious looking bag of herbs, which is just lavender. Oh, it smells incredible. It's just lavender from my grandmother's garden. I've mentioned it in the previous video, but this is what I use to repel moths. It's the best lavender out there because obviously it's grown by my grandmother. It's organic, no pesticides whatsoever, and grown with love by her and the bees all around the garden as well. So that's the first box. And actually, something I haven't shown is I have a full box of Advent yarn that I got from the Camel's Yarn. Actually, maybe I should just show it because I've never shown it on a podcast before. Oh, but it's all the way at the back. Sorry, you're going to have to wait for the next podcast episodes for me to show that thing, because I cannot be bothered to take it out of this whole box. And then next we have this bad boy here. By the way, these are the clear boxes that I found in IKEA, and actually I saw some of them being advertised as yarn boxes as well, so I found that quite funny. So here I stock some sweater quantities as well as old whips, which I will go through later. So this, I'm really excited to knit this up. It's my blue Peergin, my cobalt blue Peergin, which is called Joyous Blue or something like that. And I've got some leftover, well, not quite leftover, it's part of a project. I've got some of this green Peergin for another whip of mine that I will show later. This is a sweater quantity of Sundays God Sunday, which I will knit up with Camel's Yarn as well. I've got a whole cone of cashmere, which I got from a follower, which was super lovely. My bag of scraps. These are just like quantities of yarn that are too small to even make it to the leftover yarn box here. So that's why they're in their bag of their own. I have some Knitting for Olive cotton merino to make a summer top. And I've got some really precious yarn here, which is the Hjerholt Oudspindery Handverk garn. So this is the yarn that's from Denmark. I bought this when I was in Copenhagen, and lots of people rave about this. Petite Net works with them, I believe, and she used not this yarn but another one to make the Dagmar sweater campaign. So it was all using this brand's yarn basically. So yeah, there's sweater quantities in here, but that's not all of it. And then I've got this bag of whips, which I will go through later and expose myself. We're still on the floor, but this time we've just turned around to face the wardrobe, which has quite a few more yarn bits actually. So, these kind of funny looking things are yarn holders that my partner made with his 3D printer. So basically you can, shove a yarn on here and then this thing spins. So when you're pulling the yarn, it just spins with it. Yeah, a yarn holder, basically. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. But very cheap because it was 3D printed by my partner. And then out of all these wardrobe kind of tubs, this is the only yarn one. So I've got my yarn winder here and some whips, which I won't show because they're gift knits actually. And then I've got a random bag of this red cashmere yarn that I want to knit up into a scarf and a hat. And a leftover, actually, this is a leftover from a sock yarn, which I could leave. And I'm gonna shove it in the other box. Oh no, it went over. Yeah, I just have random leftovers here. Another leftover. There we go. And then, another whip. These are socks. Another whip. This is also a gift knit that I'm not gonna show. And then, outside of this tub, I have this whole bag with my old college's crest on it, which is a whip that I've mentioned in the podcast. It's my porcelain sweater. So this is how I've been storing everything. Yeah, nice peek of the color work here. But this is all the yarn for the project, and I've just put it in this nice Aesop bag, which I didn't spend money on Aesop. My friend has given me Aesop soaps over the years, which is very nice of her. So this was a very quick tour of the yarn organization in my bedroom. This is fantastic because if I ever have a burglary, they could just look at this video and see where my yarn is stored. So if the burglar is an avid knitter, then they can immediately go for the yarn. I don't know why I'm doing this. Maybe it's not great that I'm exposing this yarn quantity on the internet. Who knows? Oh, and I've got my Hank spin thing. I don't know what it's called. A Swift. There you go. A Swift. This is a pretty good one. I got the set of the yarn winder and Swift from Amazon, and they store quite nicely like this. Anyway, let's get out. Let's get off the floor so I can show you the final bit of yarn storage, which is arguably the more aesthetic one. So now we're in my living room where we've got this Kallax from IKEA that we're using as part storage, part decoration. This stuff is my partner's decorative pieces. There's a lot of 3D printed stuff, but what we're interested in is these two cubicles, obviously. So I've divided this into basically my hand-dyed yarn collection and then my fancy yarn collection is how I called it. So, like, I was slightly running out of space in the storage under my bed, so I've thought of putting all my kind of nice yarns in the living room like this to have them be there visually, but also just kind of decorate the living room a little bit. The hand-dyed yarn collection is looking very colorful and cheery, whereas the fancy yarn collection is looking quite basic and neutral. I guess that's the way it is usually. So I'm gonna quickly remove these two yarns because this is my friend's yarn for her project. I'm teaching her how to knit a sweater. So I'm using the step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller to teach her how to knit a sweater. And this is the yarn she's got, which is just a acrylic wool blend from King Cole. Right. And then this is a leftover, which shouldn't be here. So we've got, starting with this cubicle, we've got some Knitting for Olive heavy merino and Knitting for Olive merino and soft silk mohair. So I've basically got quite a few types of Knitting for Olive bases in here. But these are all sweater quantities that I've put here. And if you check out my Instagram and you see my 2025 knitting plans post, which is pinned, these are all the yarns that I mentioned in that post. So these are all yarns that I intend to knit up, hopefully this year, into some sort of sweater project. So the knitting for olive in the front, and then we've got some nice Durham Natura Gilead. Actually, in French, it should be called Juliette. This is going to be a Dagmar sweater at some point, I hope. And then, well, not that fancy, but we've got some drops in here. Ooh, oh my god. I could see a stark difference in... Oh wait, no, it was just the light. I thought there was a huge difference in dye lot between these two. This is just Drops Daisy, which I'm going to pair with this Drops Kid Silk. I think these are both in the color Marzipan or something like that. And I thought it was a really lovely color. And I bought a sweater quantity of this when the pattern for sweater number 29 came out, which I knew immediately I wanted to knit up in like a creamy beige color. So I bought this 9 months ago or something like that. It's ridiculous. I need to stop buying yarn because, as you can see, I have enough to last me a full calendar year and some more. So no more yarn buying from me. But anyway, they'd make for nice pieces of decoration, I suppose. And then you've got my hand-dyed yarn collection here. And this has mostly Market Town Yarns yarn subscription sock yarn bases. So I think all of these, except these two, are Market Town Yarns sock yarn. I think I need to focus on knitting more socks. Or alternatively, I was thinking of making a blanket out of these. So particularly the Stella Quilt blanket, I think would be really nice because I could make each star with one of the hand-dyed yarns. I guess I wouldn't be able to really use these two because they're too beigey and they would not contrast enough with the base beige color of the blanket that I intend to use. But all these kind of deeper colors here would definitely be good for a blanket to make the star from the Stella Quilt blanket. And then this is stuff that I bought from last year's East Anglia Yarn Festival. And yeah, it's been a full year because next week is the next one, which I'm going to. And it's still here. This is also stuff that I bought at last year's festival. This is the Camel's yarn. I love that brand. I still haven't used up her yarns, but including the yarn advent calendar yarns. But it's so soft. I'm going to buy some more again from her because it's a really wonderful brand. I love her vision. I love her website. Every time I go on there, the yarn colors are so dreamy. And I'm really excited to see her at her stall in East Anglia Yarn Festival. And I'm going to buy, I think, a few sort of quantities of her stuff. And then this is actually my latest acquisition, which is from Kyoto. So that's quite special. So I went on a Japan trip, as everyone does recently, except I have a more legit excuse because I am half Japanese after all. And this is the brand from the shop called Walnut. I think that's like the most famous yarn shop in Kyoto and Tokyo as well, when people try to look up yarn shops to visit in either of those places. They actually mostly stock European yarns, so if you're coming from Europe, you won't see anything kind of like different from the usual yarn bars that you might come across, except the in-house hand-dyed yarns. And this is exactly what I got. So this is a really beautiful kind of ruby red. It's got more of a blue tone in real life than on camera. I can see that on camera is looking quite kind of poppy red. So I'm probably going to knit my own jumper, my own pattern for that. And potentially release a new pattern. Who knows? But that will come in a while. I still want to knit this stuff first. Anyway, now let's talk about my old whips. So, sorry about the lighting. I was inspired by Anne-Sophie from Candid Knit's recent video where she talked through her entire collection of works in progress, or whips, and I thought this would be a good occasion to expose myself and basically show all my languishing works in progress, so to keep myself accountable and also because it's interesting to see what people are working on, but also not working on, right? So the first one I can see here, and sorry about the plastic noises, is actually a pair of socks, which I think I already gave up on. Yeah, I did. Why the hell did I do that? I have almost a full sock done, and I decided to frog it. I'm not too sure why now. I kind of regret past me's decision to frog this. Oh, okay. I feel like I see it now. I don't think I really like this pattern with these kind of garter stitch diamonds here, and I think that's why I started to rip it all away. This is a pattern from 52 Weeks of Socks, Volume 1. Not too sure what the name is. I won't write it down because I'm frogging it anyway. But I know the wool is creme K Soul Wool Eco Sock. I think it's a sock yarn that's made of recycled plastics for the plastic content of the sock yarn. And then next, oh my goodness, I think this is my oldest ongoing work in progress. And I keep saying that I will finish it at some point, and I still haven't finished, so this is quite embarrassing. But this is my Cumulus tee. It's already been 2 summers of me working on this and not finishing it. I am so close. I'm so close to finishing though. Look at this. I've got the body done. I only need to finish the sleeves. Oh, I know what stops me. I think it's because, for the neck, you have to do an applied I-cord, just like it is on the body. But the body, you do the I-cord while you're binding up, so it feels like it's part of the process, whereas obviously for this, it's an applied I-cord. And I despise doing that, and I think that's what stopped me from continuing working on this project last summer. If it was just the sleeves, I think I would have continued. But yeah, it's looking at it right now, it's actually such a lovely piece that I would 100% wear a lot in the summer because it's made of Knitting for Olive pure silk, which I heard great things about in terms of wearability. So I really ought to finish this thing. So yeah, this is the oldest ongoing work I have in my knitting journey. And then, ooh, this is interesting. I've got another project that I was on my way to frogging. This is the Crescendo Camisole by the Knit Pearl Girl. I knitted this for her. At the time, I really enjoyed the pattern, but now I feel like the color just isn't right for this top. I wish I would pick something like black. And I wanted to repurpose the Cotton Merino again by Knitting for Olive in the color Oatmeal for something else, like maybe a t-shirt or something. I think it just, in my opinion, I think it just didn't suit this camisole vibe, especially with the lace here. But it's a really lovely, lovely crescendo lace. That's what she calls it, because she has a series of patterns that use this kind of lace motif. Again, it has some sort of applied I-cord around the edges, and that's what stopped me from frogging it entirely, because I reached a point where I have to undo the applied I-cord to continue frogging this front and back sections. So that's why it's looking like nothing at the moment, because I've started frogging the I-cord on the sleeve here on the strap. And yeah, I just need to do that at some point. I just need to sit down and do this. Maybe that will be another video. And then the last whip I have in here, these, by the way, are just like works in progress that I just have not touched in ages. I do have a few other whips which I have mentioned in my podcast in my latest episode, and those I'm not going to include because obviously I've talked about them. They're kind of ongoing things. So this is actually not the last whip because I have another one I can show. So this is the Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knit, and this is being knitted up in this wonderful Camerose Midnight Sole, which is supposed to be a mohair alternative. And I think my problem with this whip is that I'm actually using wooden needles, but usually when you do something that's like mohair only or fluffy yarn only, you are recommended to use metal ones because they slip a lot more easily than if you use wooden ones or bamboo ones. So I think this is all I have to do to make sure that I continue on this whip. I just have to make sure I switch out the needles. These are 5mm needles and I don't have metal ones for those, so I just have to buy some. But I was really looking forward to having this piece because this sort of kind of blousey look is very much kind of up in my alley. Like, it's actually kind of like the jumper I'm wearing right now in terms of the shape it's gonna have. So like kind of shallow V-neck and just a breezy style. And I got this yarn as a birthday gift from my friend, so it's not looking like much right now, but I was gonna do like this tri-color scheme of big color blocks of this pink and then the beige and then this brown here. So this is something I really should get around to. I just have so many other jumpers that I want to knit on, and that's why I'm not working on this. Yeah. And then my last whip. Now my last whip is contained in this big wool warehouse bag. It's something that I mentioned maybe in like an old podcast, and it's this. So the reason why I'm not working on this is because I've had to work on the 2 April cardigans that were birthday gifts from my 2 best friends. But I really want to finish this year. Problem is, it's looking great. You know, I've made a really decent amount of knitting on this, but I got really disheartened on it when I actually did the neck, and I've accidentally, you could see it quite well here. I accidentally shifted the stitches when I did the collar fold, so therefore it's looking a bit like ajar. It's looking a bit, yeah, it's looking shifted basically. Oh, it smells so good. It has a really sheepy smell. So, oh my god, it looks so good in the in the sunlight here. This is, when did I start this? I think I started this April last year. So I think it's been a year as well. And like I was talking about this to Knit Night, and like a few other people have either had a Moby sweater for a really long time or also took a really long time to finish theirs. So I don't feel too alone in this, in my misery. But anyway, I need to undo this collar to fix it. And that's what's really stopping me from making any progress, which I know is weird, but it's like a weird mental block, because like I've made a mistake, so I'm like, oh, like I'm so unmotivated by it, and it stops my mojo with it, so that's why I haven't touched it in so long. But as soon as I'm done with my friend's cardigan, which I'm really close to being done with, only got the double knit button band to do now. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm going back to my porcelain sweater, which I showed earlier, a peek of, and this. And those are going to be my main projects after that cardigan is done. The yarn is just so lovely as well. I'm really looking forward to finishing this. The weather's getting quite warm now. So I hope that I can still wear this, maybe as like an outer layer when I eventually finish it. Same with the porcelain sweater, because they're meant to be both quite big, oversized jumpers. I purposely went up a couple sizes on this to make a really lofty, big, oversized jumper. So I hope that I could still wear them in, you know, in spring, because it's still pretty chilly here. It's getting warmer to the point where you might not need a big coat, but you still need like a jacket. So I still hope that I can wear this in the spring, the current spring, the current season, before it gets too warm for summer. So this was a super spontaneous and quite chaotic video of me just showing you my yarn stash and my old whips, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed this more casual format. I'm gonna try to do more videos, not just like the knitting podcast, but also like knitting vlogs and kind of like quick snapshots of my knitting life like this. So let me know what you think, and make sure you give my channel a subscribe and give this video a like as well if you enjoyed it. I'm really surprised and very happy that there's already kind of about 500 of you guys in here. I was kind of never expecting it to, you know, pick up or anything, because it's a very niche hobby, right? And there's a lot of many great knitting content creators on the internet. But so thank you so much for being here and watching my silly little videos, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!